the one other thing that we have found working with Kudos is they're quick. I mean, I wasn't expecting this, and you know, they've actually been quite good. You send them an email, they respond pretty much within a couple of hours at the worst. Sometimes it's within minutes. If you want something doing, they'll turn it round. And whilst we were building the system, they work full shifts, even overnight in some cases, just to get it delivered on time. So yeah, Kudos really did come up with the goods, and yeah, I could recommend them for that. Well, the starting point really wasn't Zoho. The starting point was I realised I needed a CRM system, and we'd been looking for some time for a CRM system. We'd done a lot of due diligence, and Zoho was one of the ones that we just kept coming back to because it seemed to have everything we needed all in one box. Well, there's a huge number of advantages for having the CRM in place, and Zoho particularly has been a revelation for the business. One of the reasons that we went for this was simply because we were finding we were missing parts of our process. And having Zoho in place means that we now don't miss parts of the process. We actually do what we say we're going to do. One of the problems that we were finding was that customers were contacting us with specific requirements. Somebody was saying, yes, we'll do that piece of work, but it was disappearing between the cracks. And 6 weeks later, we were finding that we'd actually missed a big thing that we should have done for a customer. That's just unacceptable. So to close those gaps, we needed something, and Zoho's provided the answer for that. When we decided to go with Zoho, there were actually two providers we could have gone with, and in the end we actually decided to go with Kudos. Kudos for us were the partner that best matched our requirements. That we knew that they were going to be flexible, we knew that they were going to be quick, and to be honest, we actually planned, executed, implemented and got running with a CRM system in less than 4 months, which is unheard of in the business. So at the moment with Zoho, what we're tending to find is that when a piece of work comes in, a requirement comes in to one area of the business, anybody can load it straight onto projects. If it's onto projects, it then syncs with everything else. So it also gets an owner, it gets a date, it gets a priority. We can't really miss stuff anymore. There's no excuses and there's nowhere to hide. Just yesterday, one of our customers phoned me as the managing director with a bit of an issue, and we'd put a new website live but had forgotten to do one thing. And I was surprised about this because our processes are normally quite good, and everything of course is in Zoho these days, so there's no excuse. And when I went back into the project, I realised we'd actually missed something in our process. Within 2 minutes, I'd actually created a new flow within Zoho, which is now part of a template. So every other web build from now on has that thing built into it. So there's no way we can miss it in the future. One of the things that we have found incredibly useful is the chat. So Click, built within Zoho, is a really useful tool. It's an instant chat, instant communication, and when you're working with remote teams, and sometimes we've got that opportunity to just have instant access to these people. The other advantage of it, of course, is it records everything in the CRM, and this takes it away from being lost in something like a WhatsApp group. As a business, we've actually seen quite an improvement in the productivity that we're getting out of the teams. Primarily because they actually can see at the start of each month exactly what they need to do, and we can pre-plan this work as well. So that's been quite a revelation for us. As part of the setup, Kudos really helpful because they managed to integrate our accounting system, which is Xero, with Zoho. But in doing so, what it meant is we can actually pull through real-time data from the accounting system and show it in all sorts of ways. Some of the graphic information and the management information I can now get from that is something I could never get before just from the accounting system alone. An unexpected bonus of Zoho is something we didn't realise, but it has something within it called Vault. And Vault is a password keeper. And that's great because in an agency like ours, where you have Single passwords for applications, but multiple users. If somebody leaves, you need to change all the passwords really quite quickly. Using Vault, we can do that in just one go. So the previous process we were using for signing up a customer was that we'd send them an email with all the details on and a direct debit attached. They would then send the email back saying, yes, I agree to it, and they'd have to print off the direct debit, they'd have to fill it in, and then either scan it and send it or post it to us, which for a digital business doesn't really work that well. Using Sign, we've managed to integrate the direct debit form as well, so we now simply send them one suite of paperwork which they sign electronically, press a button, it comes straight back in, so we know the order's with us and it's compliant as well, and it sets up a workflow for the accounts team to start creating the invoices. One of the advantages of Zoho that we found is that the sales team particularly have access to the entire suite whilst they're out on the road. All the suite of applications are available as apps that come down onto your phone, and you can access all the system whilst you're out on the road. The beauty about doing that, of course, is that you don't have to wait until you get back home at night to put that urgent request into the office to do something. You can create a task whilst you're out, and somebody can action it whilst you're driving to the next call. One of the big issues we used to have was when somebody left the business, there was no record of what they'd said to any customer other than on their email account, which of course over time just starts to degrade or gets put somewhere electronically in a back burner. By integrating the emails with Zoho, you can actually have all your customer correspondence appear against the customer account in Zoho. It doesn't really matter which member of the team's emailed them, it will still go in. And of course what that means is that anybody at any time can see what's been promised, what's been delivered, and what the customer actually wanted. Previously, we were having issues with some salespeople thinking it was okay to discount our products to the point where they were, well, no longer profitable. Using Zoho, what we've now been able to do is build in processes which means that they can't do that. So when they create the order on the system, they have some flexibility to move the price up or down, but only by a specified percentage. So if we don't want them to discount by more than, let's say, 10%, we can fix that in the system. They can't process the order if it's outside of those parameters. That is critical for profitability. As a business, we're proud of our mission, our vision, and indeed our values. And our values are really important to us, the trust, loyalty, and the collaboration. With Kudos, we felt we found a partner that actually mirrored our values, but more importantly, somebody we knew we could work with for the long term. Of course, using Kudos, we also managed to buy the data from them as well. And that was really important for us because we've got a remote telesalesperson who phones out from the data. It's integrated completely into the system. When she makes an appointment with a customer, she puts it straight into the salesperson's diary. It pops up on the CRM. They go and see the customer, and from there they can go through, they can quote, they can sell the order and process it right the way through and deliver a finished product. That was great. If you're anything like me, you'll spend half your life as the boss of a business saying, well, has this been done? Has someone actually actioned this? Who's looking after this? Well, with Zoho, you don't have to ask those questions anymore because it's all there in front of you. You can see if it's been allocated, you can see if it's been worked, you can see if there's a delay, you can see if the customer's emailed back in with some information. Everything you need is there to answer the questions that you've got. Integrating Zoho with our website has been quite a revelation as well, because one of the things it does is it allows you to look and see who's on your website at any time, and indeed to see how long they've been on your site, and if they're a visitor who's come back again to your website, and what pages they're looking at, and if they're really interested. And it starts assigning a score to them after a while to say, well, these people are probably worth talking to. Well, you don't have to guess now. You can just simply type into the system, hi, can we help you? And it comes up as a live chat in front of them. That's really quite influential when it comes to engaging with prospects. I suppose the other thing about Zoho, which is quite useful, is that it's not expensive. It's £1 a head a day, broadly speaking. So we've managed to do this on a reasonably tight budget and integrate everything within the company for just a couple of £100 a month. I suppose the other thing about Zoho, which is quite useful, is that it's not expensive. It's £1 a head a day, broadly speaking. So we've managed to do this on a reasonably tight budget and integrate everything within the company for just a couple of £100 a month. Using Zoho has actually saved us money as well, because we managed to cancel our subscriptions to the various social media tools we'll be using to manage the social media programs, not just for ourselves, but for our customers. There's a great app in Zoho which allows you to manage everything you want to do with your social media and schedule posts well ahead of time. That's good. Right now we are at the start of our Zoho journey, and even today I go into the system, I look at the other things that it can do, the stuff that we're not using it for, and some of it just blows my mind. I'm genuinely excited to start getting on with some of the better stuff that it can do. Full integration of email marketing as an example, which we haven't even got to yet. So yeah, there's a lot more in Zoho that we're not even doing. We know we're only scratching the surface, but even that alone, saving us money every single month.